Happy hump day, my friends, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. If you like what we're doing here at the Prime Sports World, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitch. We give you guys consistent sports content almost every single day. Thank you, Summer Dew, for giving us a shout out there on the YouTube. 321 to you as well. Hi, Teresia Perry. Good to see you as well on the YouTube. But on today's episode of the show, we're going to get into that 2026 NFL mock draft. This is going to be our top 10 edition as we are switching our focus now to the offseason, as unfortunately the action on the field, the gridiron, has concluded for this season. But don't you worry, we are going to cover the UFL this season, so keep an eye out for all that content. If you like what we're doing here, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm David On Point Huffman. I'm going to give you my top 10 picks. We're going to be doing more of an extensive mock draft as we go through the offseason, but this is the first one. So we're just going to start with the first top 10 picks. We're going to get right into it. David On Point Huffman, let's talk about it. Let's start first with the Las Vegas Raiders. They are on the clock because obviously they have the worst record in the NFL. The Geno Smith, Pete Carroll experiment did not work there in Seattle or in Oakland, even a little, or Las Vegas. Sorry about that. Oakland and Seattle didn't even work out for a little bit for this football team. They were the worst team in the NFL at 3-14. Their biggest needs in this particular draft are quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, as they're really receiving core, Trey Tucker, wide receiver 1, cornerback, and then they need an edge rusher on the other side of Max Crosby if they do not trade him away. But their biggest need is at quarterback. Geno Smith was fine in Seattle, but he was absolutely terrible this season in Las Vegas. Just a complete disaster there in Las Vegas this season. They go with the quarterback. They take Fernando Mendoza, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He was a redshirt junior there at Indiana, led that team to the Natty in a resounding victory against Miami, even though they tried to make it interesting there at the end. He has the accurate thrower, the excellent size, toughness, and enough athleticism. He operates well enough out of the shotgun, heavily runs in the RPO game. This is the best quarterback in this particular draft. I'm not sure where he would go in other drafts with other quarterbacks, but in this particular class, he's the number one quarterback, bar none. And unfortunately for everybody else on the clock after the Las Vegas Raiders, there's unfortunately just not a quarterback to take in the first 10 picks, unless you want to really talk yourself into taking Ty Simpson or the kid from Ole Miss. Sounds like he's not going to be able to play college football again this season, so he'll probably be in the NFL next year. Maybe you want to take him in the first round, but I just don't think there's another guy to take in the first round. Fernando Mendoza is kind of it. The New York Jets, they also finished with a 3-14 record. Their biggest needs are quarterback, wide receiver, defensive line, and offensive line, as they basically absolutely tore this down to the studs at the trade deadline. They do have a bunch of draft capital, including 4 picks in the top 50. But unfortunately, there's no quarterback to take here. So they're going to have to go another direction. Obviously, you're the Jets. You have a bunch of needs. I think that they take the best player available, and the best player available, I think, is Caleb Downs, the safety of Ohio State. He's a prototypical safety. You can probably put him in the boxes like a box linebacker, but he just gives you so much versatility. He's probably going to be similar to an Isaiah Simmons, what they thought he was going to be when he came out of Clemson. He just gives the Jets a dynamic edge there. He's the best football player probably in this particular draft. So I think he's probably going to be the pick for the New York Jets. But if you have the Jets going another direction, they have so many team needs, and safety, this is necessarily like, a premium position in most drafts. He's a versatile safety on standing instincts and intangibles. They moved him around. They also played him at nickel, strong safety, and they also played the nickel backer. So Caleb, he gives you so much versatility. I think he has, he's a very safe pick. I am very confident that Caleb Downs is going to be a good football player in the National Football League, period. From there, another team that could be looking for a quarterback, as all they have on the roster right now is Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett. But unfortunately, this is not the draft to need a quarterback. Their major needs right now are quarterback, offensive line, edge, safety, and defensive line. Yeah, I think this is another team that could go a plethora of different ways, as Christian likes to point out whenever he's on one of these mock draft shows. And I know they spent an early draft pick. They brought in Josh Sweat from the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a pretty quiet, good season for the Arizona Cardinals, but I think you want to get somebody on the other side there. And I have them taking Ruben Bain Jr., the defensive end out of Miami. The NFL.com has him ranked as the sixth best prospect in this draft. He's a junior. He is a thick, square edger with short arms. I just think he's going to be disruptive and destructive in the next level. He has that high motor that you kind of look for in these kind of premium edge rushers. Should be a guy that steps right into the National Football League. He has a nasty chop rip move, a violent hump move, and a nifty Euro step. This is a guy that should be a 10-plus sack guy right off the bat. He's built to be in the National Football League, and you saw his impact in the college football playoff. The dude was a game changer. From there, we got the Tennessee Titans, who think they have their quarterback already on their roster with Cam Ward. Their major needs, according to NFL.com, is wide receiver, edge, cornerback, offensive line, and then safety. As they just brought in a new head coach with Robert Saleh is now the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. This team was 3-14. You did see some flashes from Cam Ward as the season started to wrap up, where it looked like, hey, if we get this guy some weapons around him, he could be a pretty productive player in the National Football League. So I have them going at the wide receiver position, and I have them taking Jordan Tyson. Matt James is going to love this. Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. If you don't know this about Matt James, he's an Arizona State homer. That's his favorite college football team. And I think he is probably the best wide receiver in this particular draft. Although there are others that are really good as well. But this guy has that wow factor. He's a fluid mover. He's incorporated a bunch of different releases and general creativity into his route running. This guy is an excellent football player. He's a redshirt junior wide receiver at Arizona State. If he could just stay healthy, because he did deal with some injuries throughout his college career. This guy has all the intangibles to be the next, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson wide receiver type. Jordan Tyson should be a good football player at the next level. And no disrespect to the other wide receivers on the Titans, the Eric Amendola and the kid that left all the NFL in scrimmage yards this season. Jordan Tyson is a complete game changer and somebody you got to get for Cam Ward. All they do need help on the offensive line as well. But I have them going wide receiver here. I think this is a premium pick. I think Jordan Tyson should be good day one. And it's good to pair a young quarterback with a wide receiver. So I think that's what they're going to do here in Tennessee. From there, we got the New York Football Giants on the clock. Christian Simpson's New York Football Giants. And they believe that they have the quarterback of the future on their roster already. They were 4-13 last year. Their biggest needs: wide receiver, offensive line, corner, linebacker, a defensive line. They believe that they have the answers in Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo and Malik Neighbors when he gets healthy, and Wan'Dale Robinson, if they bring him back, who's a free agent this upcoming season. They will have to try to see if they can get him back on kind of a team-friendly deal. But one of the bigger things about the New York Giants this season, especially with Jackson Dart, he spent a lot of time being injured in the medical tent, dealing with a wide variety of injuries. And so we're going to get him some help. Andrew Thomas is a good football player. Evan Neal has been an absolute bust in the National Football League. So we got another Miami Hurricane going in the top 5 with Francis Mayogoa. I apologize, Francis, if I'm mispronouncing that last name. But this is the guy I think they're going to take. Big, powerful right tackle prospect. You have Andrew Thomas at left tackle. You plug and play this guy at right tackle. Should be a day one starter. Should be good in the running game. Should be very good in the passing game. This is a guy that has the prototypical NFL size. Should be an immediately dominant run blocker. As I think the Giants, at least in next season, until we get Malik Neighbors back onto the football field, whenever that's going to be, they're going to lean heavily on the running game, whether that be Tyron Tracy Jr. or Cam Scatterbo, depending on his health heading into next season. As we go through the show, anyways, if you guys want to let me know down in the comments section if you go in a different direction with various picks as we go through this mock draft. This is our early top 10 edition here in the National Football League. Again, this is Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we're doing here as we're swinging into the second half of this mock draft. And then from there, we got the Cleveland Browns on the clock. An interesting case here with the Cleveland Browns. Their needs, according to NFL.com, is quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, corner, and then linebacker. They had Shedeur Sanders there. They did take Dylan Gabriel, I think, in the 4th round. They also ranked last and second to last EPA per drop back. I think they're going to give Shedeur Sanders a legitimate shot to be the quarterback of this football team, at least next season. The only thing, because the big thing is that there's just nobody to take in the first round of this draft at the quarterback position, especially not at 6. You would have to be reaching for anybody you would take here. It just doesn't make any sense. And so let's continue to build around the wide receiver position or around the quarterback position. And I know they have big time needs at offensive line. Every single starting offensive lineman that played started for them day one is going to be a free agent this offseason. So they're going to have to rebuild that offensive line. But they also have glazing holes at wide receiver. We've seen Jerry Jeudy. He's just not the guy. He's just not hit. So let's go with the wide receiver position. Let's stay in the state of Ohio. Let's go to Columbus and get Carnell Tate, the junior wide receiver at Ohio State. Tall, long, wide out. And Ohio State has a track record of producing excellent wide receivers in the National Football League. Outstanding play speed and production. This guy was an absolute game changer for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And they didn't get him enough involved in that game. They ended up losing to Miami. This is going to be the next great Ohio State wide receiver in the National Football League. And if Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel are legit going to get an opportunity to be the guy, you have to give them a legit opportunity. So Carnell Tate, build up that wide receiver room. You can address offensive linemen in later picks in this draft because it is a pretty deep offensive line class. So you can address those needs later. But I think you're going to go wide receiver. I think you stay in the state of Ohio. You go with the Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver with the proven track record of producing quality NFL talent. From there, we got the Washington Commanders, who the season ago were playing in the NFC Championship game, but their season was really delayed by injuries, whether that be to the corner. His name is totally escaping me right off the top. But also Jaden Daniels dealt with a myriad of injuries throughout the season and just really never got back to form. They finished 5-12 this season. They have a bunch of needs on defense. This defense was old and slow for the majority of this season. Biggest needs: edge, corner, linebacker, tight end. As you know, Zach Ertz got banged up and going to probably miss a majority of the season next year. And then obviously wide receiver. You got Terry Scary McLaurin, you got Deebo Samuel, but not a whole lot else on this football team. But this team needs to address their defensive needs. And probably the best defensive prospect remaining on most people's big boards and on my current big board is the defensive end or the edge rusher out of Texas Tech, David Bailey, the senior out of Texas Tech. Ultra explosive edge rusher with outstanding production. Dude was just a monster on a Texas Tech team that, was pretty good this season. His ability to create short corners to the passer is exceptional. This is a guy that's going to be a 8 to 10 sack guy right away. And just gives you, if they still have Von Miller on the roster next season, there's nobody better to learn from than a Von Miller, who's, going to be in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech, going to be the pick here for the Washington Commanders. From there, we got the New Orleans Saints on the clock. They also think that they have found the quarterback of the future there. They finished last season at 6-11, but did rattle off 4 straight wins early on in this season. In order to really, be like, hey, Tyler Shough might be the guy. He put himself into the conversation when it came to Offensive Rookie of the Year. He unfortunately did not win that award, but Tyler Shough looks like the real deal. He's got the big body. He's got the playmaking ability. I think he's got a real opportunity to kind of build something there in New Orleans. They do have some major needs with edge. Cameron Jordan's not going to play forever. Wide receiver, corner, offensive line, and then obviously defensive line for the New Orleans Saints for a football team that kind of has a lot of needs here. But when I say that, I think you have to kind of take this is one of those things where yes, they have major needs, but the best football player on most people's big board is Arvell Reese, the edge rusher at Ohio State. And so we have another Ohio State player going in the top 10. This is actually the third Ohio State player going in my top 10 mock draft here. This guy's just a crazy, fluid, explosive athlete. They used him as a chess piece, kind of like an Isaiah Simmons. That was when he came out of college. NFL.com said he reminds them a lot of Jalen Walker. Who's been pretty good, was good for the San Francisco 49ers when he was healthy, but did get banged up pretty early and miss a lot of time there. But yeah, he could play wide receivers and defensive ends, tight ends and running backs in coverage. He's good against the run. He's good again. He can have a power tight ends, tackles, running backs. The dude is just going to be a great all-around football player at the next level. And that's who I have the New Orleans Saints taking at pick number 8. And then number 9, some shocking turn of events that the Kansas City Chiefs end up with a top 10 pick in this particular draft. Patrick Mahomes, we're not sure when he's going to actually suit up and play next season. Same thing with Gardner Minshew, as he got banged up last season as well. But this is the first time that the Chiefs have had a top 10 pick going all the way back to when they traded up to draft Patrick Mahomes. 10 years ago now? Something like that. Yeah, like a long, long time. They paired him up with Travis Kelce. We haven't heard if he's going to retire or not. I imagine that an announcement's going to be made at some point here in the near future. But their major needs: running back, wide receiver, offensive line, corner, and tight end. And the last time the Kansas City Chiefs took a running back in the early parts of the draft, it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Just didn't really work out as a number 1 running back there in Kansas City. But I think they're going to take another shot at this. They go Jeremiah Love, the dynamic weapon as a runner and receiver out of Notre Dame, also a junior. If you know anything about this show, Izzy Rivera, one of our main panelists here on Prime Sports World. He loves this guy and loves the Notre Dame football. He thinks that this guy is going to be primo, really good next level. High and narrow. He can explode through holes. He can catch the pass out of the backfield. His spin move is super electric. He should be a home run hitter and immediately expand the playbook for whatever team decides to draft him. And he just gives you a completely different variable than what you get out of Isaiah Pacheco, who's just not a home run hitter. He's he's going to get you 3 yards consistently every single run, but he's just not that home run guy. This is that guy. And I think that's the way Kansas City goes with this particular mock draft. They take Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. And then another team that's semi-shocking that they're in the top 10 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow missed all but like 5 or 6 games last season with a hand injury. I think it was a hand injury or a turf toe injury. He eventually came back late in the season, but it was just not enough. Too late, a little bit too late for the Cincinnati Bengals to climb their way back into playoff contention. They end up with the top 10 pick, and they have a bunch of needs as well: edge, corner, offensive line, corner, defensive line, and then safety. This is the highest pick the Cincinnati Bengals have had since they drafted Jamar Chase 5th overall in 2021. They have to shore up this defense. And then another priority is shoring up their offense, their offensive line. But I have them going corner. I have them taking, arguably the best corner in this back. You have a lot of conversations about at the cornerback position. So with Gerard McCoy, the cornerback out of Tennessee. You have Colton Hood, who's also out of Tennessee. These are all out of NFL.com. But I'm going to go to the University of LSU. It has kind of become defensive back U, right? I mean, they produced Derek Stingley Jr. They're going to go Mansour Delaney, the LSU corner, the senior there, probably one of the most consistent players in the draft. Should be a easy coverage corner like at the next level, and should keep that high standard that LSU corners have kind of had in the National Football League. This guy is a ball hawk, and one of the things that he can long as make plays on the ball. But the thing is, he's an absolute shutdown corner where he basically will take away one player from the opponent's game plan and not allow that guy to be involved in the game plan. Mansour Delaney is the guy that I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking here at number 10. But yeah, that's been our 2026 NFL mock draft top 10 edition. This has been Prime Sports World. I'm David On Point Huffman. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast if you like what we're doing here at the Prime as we continue giving you guys consistent content week in, week out. We're going to be swinging into the coaching carousel next week, and then we're going to talk about the UFL. As kickoff is just about a month away from the UFL, and the excitement. I love the UFL. And TJ, one of our other panels here, he's a big fan of the UFL as well. So if you're not on board with spring football, get on board because it's fun. We're going to talk about all the preseason stuff and stuff you need to know as we head into the season for the UFL. Thank you very much for joining us. I've been David Huffman once again, and we bring the heat. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll see you guys later.